Hey everybody, Anish Majumdar here, career coach and expert in the hidden job market. Happy that you are here. Let's talk about this return to office situation. Honestly, never in a million years would I have thought that after the years of chaos that we've all collectively been through, all of the adaptation, figuring out ways to work remotely, figuring out ways to work in a hybrid fashion, figuring out ways to keep our clients, figuring out ways to re-engineer our businesses. Never in a million years would I have thought that the end result of that would be major companies like Apple and others basically saying, tough luck. You know, we didn't really do anything to look out for you, but thank you for looking after us. And now you kind of need to go back to the office. You know, maybe we need to keep our office leases. Maybe we've got other ones. Maybe we just want to micromanage you, right? Maybe we just don't trust you. But either way, we sort of demand that you are coming in. Okay, tip number one, all right? I want you to look at what is going across your screen right now. Is your employer trying to strong arm you with return to office, right? Whatever the policies are, whatever they want you to do, follow this strategy that I'm about to show you and do not commit to anything out of hand. That's the whole purpose of this video, guys, is that, you know, I see people, leaders of every stripe, getting really too worried about, hey, am I making the wrong move? Well, most of the time, you're just accepting things out of hand. You don't get credit for what you just accept out of hand. And right now, if you're making crazy RTO concessions just because you think you have to, you may be doing yourself and your career and its growth a major, major disservice. So don't do that, okay? People can ask, doesn't mean that you have to just bend over, all right? So let's talk about it. And before we do, I would appreciate it if you would take a second, hop on over to LinkedIn. My name's Anish Majumdar. We've got well over 13,000 followers and growing every single day. And we are sharing daily career tips and advice directly from our work with clients. We teach an end-to-end way of generating job offers right through the hidden job market, faster than any other way possible. And we show and teach what actually works out there, not the HR crap they try to tell you, right? So if you're interested in that, I would really appreciate it. Take a second, hop on over, shoot me a follow, all right? So let's go into point number one, okay? Do an honest assessment of how long you plan on sticking around, okay? This should be the very first thing that you do, all right? So let's go through a couple of factors. I would grab like a notepad and a pen when you're doing this, okay? But you want to basically write down the major things that do it for you and that are critical, okay? There's three that almost everyone would have, no matter what your situation is: growth potential, culture, compensation, okay? So growth potential, okay? This is one that you really guys need to be thinking about. Is 30% minimum of your job new right now? Is 30% something where you're like, oh, I've got to figure it out? Are you spending a minimum of 30% of every week, every month, every year engaged in new developing tasks, initiatives? If you're not, I'm telling you this right now, it is highly unlikely that you're going to be happy at this job long term. I don't care how much you're paid. If you don't have a minimum of 30% new, or 30% incoming, or 30% that is yet to be developed, or 30% that can only be developed through you building out a team, delegating, bringing on that new, it's unlikely that you're going to be happy. So you should really, first of all, start with that as one key factor of how long you plan on sticking around. What is the true growth potential here? I'm not talking about fake promises made by your boss. I'm talking about what's actually going on here. Here's another one: cultural support. A big thing we don't take into consideration is that companies change. I'll hear from this all the time. Anish, when I started this company, the boss was directly aligned with what I do. Our team, we had cultural priorities. Then we got bought out. Then we had people coming in and coming out. I'm doing the job of 3 people. This is someone I'm working with right now. She's doing the job of 3 people. And every week, she gets reamed out for 45 minutes by a boss, right? That's totally different than what she started in. So I want you to ask yourself, what is the real state of the culture there? Is it going up? Is it going down? Has nothing changed? Have you gotten more support? If you've been successful at this job, guess what? The normal thing is that you get more buy-in. You get less micromanagement. You get more opportunities to contribute, to magnify that which works. In a functional company, that's the way that it would go. In a dysfunctional company, you're not rewarded for your performance. You're not seen for those things that make you exceptional, and you are judged and tasked with responsibility that has nothing to do with you. What is going on right there? What is the level of the culture right now, and how much cultural support do you have, okay? So growth potential, cultural support, and here's the third one: compensation. Okay, if you've been at a company longer than 1 year, 2, 3 years, you're leaving behind a minimum of 7 to 8%. This is before inflation, by the way. every year just by being there. That's why companies get away with low-level cost of living increases, with low-level name-only or, not even worth talking about financial upticks. I don't know the number of people who've been waiting at a company for that vaunted VP or SVP title. Oh, sorry, we can't actually give you the money that comes with that. We can give you 20% of that, because they know if you don't really have a choice, right? You don't have the balls or the courage to actually go out there and get something else. So they're counting on you being lazy. They're counting on you taking the path of least resistance. So if you've been at a company for longer than 1 year, you're already 7 to 8% plus inflation behind. If you're 2 years in, you're 7 to 8% plus inflation times 2, right? You want to be thinking about this. Think about what your actual market worth is now, not when you started at this company. It's a huge mistake I see people make. Well, when I was just starting out, I was a manager, but you're not a manager now. You're doing the job of a senior VP, and the scope and scale of what you do has increased 5 times. That has nothing to do with what you make, but it has everything to do with what you could earn at the next role. And I want you to really think about that. That's a part of doing an honest assessment. Hop on over to LinkedIn, pull up the profiles of people who have the types of roles in the industries that you want to be looking at. Take a look at their experience level. Take a look at their trajectory. If you can say, hey, honestly, you know what? I might be losing out more than I'm gaining here. That should tell you something. Ultimately, the way that you want to think about this first thing about doing an honest assessment, if you're going through, and obviously beyond growth, culture, compensation, there's many other ones that you can use. Bring those things that are actual drivers for you into play. But really what it boils down to is, if you're looking at the details and you're saying, look, it's very unlikely that I'm going to be here for longer than a year, you need to be hyper aggressive with all of this. You need to fight the RTO stuff. You need to definitely advocate for yourself and find a way to make it more equitable. Because if it's not, if you're looking at this and you're like, look, there's really no way. I just got this job. It's a valuable opportunity. The culture's good. The growth potential is good. The compensation is fair. Then maybe you need to think about being a little bit more amenable out of the bat. You know what I mean? But do it based on where you are, not on what they're dictating to you. So 1 to 2 years plus, be more amenable. Less than 1 year, be more aggressive. Okay, now here's the second part, okay? Break apart the highest strategic priorities within what you do. What are the parts of the job that only you can do at the highest levels, and where does it directly impact the company? This is absolutely critical. If you're going to be able to negotiate on the RTO, it is going to be based on your ability to carry off that which is most important to this company, not which is most important to you, what is most important to the company, right? And so you need to start by identifying that first. Most people, when I ask about their jobs, they give me a laundry list of skills. That's not what I'm asking you here. I'm not asking you to tell me that you're an expert in digital transformation, SaaS, marketing. No, okay? What do you do? What do you do, right? What are the biggest things that you're doing right now that is going to leave this company transformed? Right? So if I'm in marketing, maybe it's not that, but what I'm saying is, what my real task is pivoting our digital ad strategy, right? Away from this towards this and seeing an ROI increase here, right? Or my job is not HR. My real job is to stop the talent bleed within this company, right? Enabling our talent to grow faster. We keep them longer and we get a major competitive edge. That has to happen here because we're losing 15 to 20% of our top tier talent. There's no future for this company. That's what I'm really paid for, right? Or my job is not just operations or lean development or whatever. Our job, what I'm really paid for, what has to happen in this company is we have got to move away from this legacy way of a company to something agile, in-house, and something that isn't totally reliant on outside contractors, suppliers, and developers. We want to bring this in-house so we have that advantage our way. What are the real priorities, right? To someone who could not care less about your skills or your background, why are you paid? Why are you there? What makes you indispensable? How do you align with that 1, 2, 3 goals? Make it simple, okay? Get rid of the corporate verbiage crap. This is something that you should be able to communicate to a 6-year-old if you need to. What are you truly getting paid for? Write it down, okay? Write it down as simply as possible, 1 to 2 lines. This is what I'm paid for. This is a must win. This is what I'm paid for. This is what I'm paid for, okay? When you have that, I want you to ask yourself a follow-up question, okay? What does getting this right mean for the company, right? So if I'm able to pivot the strategy away from this to this, what does that mean for this company? Well, it's a smaller company. They're going to be way more competitive. There's going to be more growth opportunities. Write it out. If I stop the talent bleed in this company through a new approach to HR development and people excellence, right? What does this mean for this company? That means we get to take more of the right risks and bets strategically. That means we get to do Y, Z, etc., right? When you move into an in-house development model, what does that mean for this company? So think about what am I truly getting paid for? What are the true strategic priorities that I'm responsible for right now that are must win? And what does getting that right mean for the company? This is going to be the heart of your ability to negotiate. What you do not want to do, and please hear me on this, you do not ever want to go in there and negotiate because, well, I've heard other people have it or I have other companies. Absolutely, that will never work, okay? And you're probably going to find yourself in extremely hot water, and I wouldn't blame an employer for putting you there, okay? The reason you need to negotiate is from a place of industry fairness and even better, relevancy to what we need to do. In other words, your stance is, you may not know it, but me being able to work and structure and address these strategic priorities in this way, my way, is going to allow us to get to those things that you want faster, more expediently. That's the communication gap that you're addressing, okay? So that'll give you the ammo that you'll need when you need to respond, when you need to reply, when you need to set up that meeting to discuss this. Again, you're not committing to anything out of hand. All right. The last thing, okay, that is going to help you. This is all the three parts that you need to effectively counter this, right? Is identify what your best alternative to a yes is. Your BAY, we call it, right? So what will you do if they insist on you coming back to work in a way that you don't want? If you look at that first question, you say, I'm going to take an aggressive stance. Are you going to walk away? Are you okay with that? Are you cool with re-engineering your brand and quickly getting new offers up there? Obviously, it's a great time to do it, right? Or do you know, hey, I'm starting a family. I've got all these other commitments. I don't see a way for that to happen, right? Are you going to, if they say, look, we can give you part of this. We can't give you everything. You cannot work fully remote, okay? But what about 50-50, right? How does that align? Would that work in terms of the attainment of these priorities? What happens, okay? And one thing that helps when you think about this is you're thinking about what getting this right means. What does getting it wrong mean as well? Right? Don't just think about the ultimate impact of these strategic priorities. Ask yourself, if you didn't have me, right? If I couldn't perform the way that I could, what happens, right? You want to be thinking about that connective tissue, okay? And in that conversation, ask yourself, beyond the actual concessions that they may or may not be willing to make, right? And yes, look, the more leverage you have in this situation, the more your market worth has gone up, the more problems there are inside of this company. The more you're like, dude, I should be thinking about moving on anyway, based on what's there. These are all things that add to your leverage, right? And you should be thinking about moving on and exploring anyway, just if it's been a while, because chances are your market worth has gone up exponentially just in the last 2 years, but you're never going to know about it until you get out of the bubble of this one employer, okay? Are they hearing your concerns? Are they giving you the necessary amount of leeway that you need to perform as the leader that you are? Or are they insistent upon micromanagement? I ultimately believe RTO and what's going on here is ultimately a show of trust or lack of trust on the part of employees, on the part of employers with their talent. So you really, really want to think about this. Okay, do the research in this way, lead yourself through this methodology, have the information that you need so you can go in there, talk to your boss, talk to your supervisor from an educated place and from a knowledgeable place. This will give you the most possible ammunition you need to do this successfully and not lose out on the hard-won freedoms that you have earned over these last couple of years. Hope that makes sense. If you want to go deeper with me, take a second, connect with me on LinkedIn. You're going to see right on the headline, I've got a link to a masterclass that will teach you exactly an end-to-end strategy for generating high-level job offers. 90% of executive roles are never going to make it to Monster and Indeed or any job board, folks. If you want to know how to tap into that right now for free, watch it. You'll see it right there. Thank you, guys. Keep the questions coming.